So what does it say? I don't need you. Artists that had successful solo careers. I guess they could be artists that continue to have successful solo careers. A Chris Profi thread like 99% of the threads in the vinyl community, probably. It's just listening to MJK Boston. So let's just see what he's talking about here.
So what do we got here? We have Peter Murphy, of course, formerly of BIOS. This is his
Gotta cross Peter Murphy off my list.
Fall Apart in 1986. So David J. Daniel
Ash, and Kevin Haskins,
his old friends, they formed Love and Rockets, and he's like,
don't forget, two of those dudes formed Tones on Tail with another guy before Love and Rockets.
I don't need you, I'm doing my own thing. Solo right here.
Solo.
So this was the debut.
Debut record's pretty good.
1986. Should the World Fail to Fall Apart?
Yeah.
Good title track.
Good title track. I agree.
Don't have the second one, but
you need the second one. It's got All Night Long, one of my favorite Peter Murphy tracks, plus Indigo Eyes is on there.
The third one here from 1990. Of course, this is called
Deep.
And it's almost David Bowie-esque.
It is David Bowie-esque.
The big single from this one, a song called Cuts You Up. But another one I really like on here, it's a slow song called Marlene Dietrich's.
I think it's Marlene Dietrich.
Embryonic Brian just mentioned Peter Murphy.
I did.
Album covers. So many videos I can't keep track.
Who can keep track? But man, I gotta cross Peter Murphy off my list. But let's see what else Mike's talking about.
Probably know this guy, Peter Gabriel. It's his self-titled debut. His first three
Crossing
albums
Peter Gabriel off my list.
And there's that. And I don't have the second one, but then
you should have the second one.
Like Face Melt.
I think it's really just called Melt, right?
I don't remember. Was a good tune on this one. Of course, Games Without
Frontiers. Don't forget about Biko. Don't forget about Biko.
Staple. And follow it up with Security right here.
Security, yeah.
Rhythm of the Heat.
Rhythm of the Heat is my favorite Peter Gabriel song.
Lay Your Hands on Me was one he loved to do that in concert, and he'd kind of fall into the crowd.
Don't forget about San Jacinto. That's a fantastic song.
First time was on this tour for the So Tour. The second time was on this tour. Us.
All right, so Peter Gabriel and Peter Murphy are stricken from my list, but I do have 5 solo artists to show you who were from bands. And the first one is going to irritate at least 2 people in the vinyl community because they made no secret of the fact they don't like him. You know who you are. We'll start with Van Morrison. And if you didn't know this, I'm sure you do. Van Morrison was, of course, in the band called Them, which was a pretty cool garagey kind of band. So Van Morrison went on to what could only be called a very successful solo career. This is Alternative Moondance from RSD a while back. Again, I didn't bring every single Van Morrison record over here. I didn't want to carry them all. It'd be kind of irritating. Versatile. In later years, he began to irritate me, partly because he became very grumpy. And also, he put out so many records. It was, I think, in some cases, twice a year. And I didn't love them all. And I was struggling to keep up. And I didn't know which were essential. And so this is Versatile. It's okay. I mean, yeah, there's mix of originals and cover versions. Pay the Devil from 2006. This is probably my rarest Van Morrison record. Repressing of The Healing Game. What else? Best of from 1990. Enlightenment from 1990. Avalon Sunlight with a typically bad Van Morrison album cover. And a weird early comp. This is where I came in. So that's not all of them. That's just some of them. And he did have a successful solo career. By the way, I forgot to mention. I'm not going to mention Morrissey, although that was the first solo artist I thought about because Chris talked about Morrissey. And I thought I would leave the Lou Reed, John Cale, Nico thing for another day. I've talked about them a lot and maybe too much. So another cool solo artist that I like is a guy called David Sylvian, who was in, of course, a band called Japan. This is Plight and Premonition with Holger Zuke. I've never known how to pronounce that guy's name. And again, these are just some. I have some later represses over there. Secrets of the Beehive. Silver Moon 12-inch single. Gone to Earth. That's a really cool double album. This is another collab called Words with the Shaman with John Hassel, Steve Jensen, and again, Holger Suke. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm sorry. I've never been able to figure that out. Red Guitar 12-inch single. Brilliant Trees. Bamboo Houses 12-inch single. So David Sylvian from Japan. Really someone I really have always liked. And then maybe one of my favorite solo artists of all time, of course, this man used to be a member of Roxy Music for the first 2 albums, and that's Brian Eno. This is the Shutov Assembly. And of course, he had an interesting career trajectory after, being in Roxy Music with that flamboyant costumes and those synthesizer or keyboard treatments he did. He recorded 3 or 4 what might be called rock or art rock records, and then took a headfirst dive into ambient music. I guess really invented ambient music, right? So here we have Shutov Assembly, NerveNet, which is a really terrific record. Love that record. Music for films, ambient one. More Blank Than Frank, which is a comp from the period of 73 to 77. This is actually still findable at a reasonable price, unlike some of his early records. Another Green World, Taking Tiger Mountain by Strategy. Here Come the Warm Jets. Those three are probably my favorite trilogy of records of all time. Maybe even better than the Islanders trilogy from John Cale, but pretty close. So Brian Eno, very cool, still making music. And then a guy that used to be in the Buzzcocks by the name of Pete Shelley. This is XL1 with telephone operators on here. This is a pretty cool record. But he was probably best known for this album because the title track here, Homo Sapien, was a huge hit. It was everywhere. You couldn't escape it. Really interesting track. I think it was banned by the BBC, right? I think so. And let's talk about this record. This is really his first solo record, which is kind of odd because it was recorded before the Buzzcocks were a thing. So recorded in 1974, but not released until 1980. So that's after the 3 Buzzcocks studio albums and after the comp singles Going Steady. This is a really strange record. It's kind of electronic, drone, experimental. It has one track on either side. Each track is 20 minutes plus. And someone once described it as like a dentist's drill. He went on with very interesting descriptions, but it is kind of abrasive, electronic, weird sounding. If you were expecting Homo Sapien or something like that, you're not going to get it. Not even going to get any. It's like something that would sound like the early Buzzcocks. It's a really intriguing record. You know, it's not something I listen to every day, but I really do like it. It's probably more listenable than Lou Reed's Metal Machine music. Maybe. But yeah, this is a really interesting record. It's called Sky Yen. I forgot to say that. And then lastly, here's a guy that was a solo artist who joined a band and then became a solo artist again. So originally recording under the name Jay Tillman or even Josh Tillman, joined the Fleet Foxes for one record and then decided that was enough. I guess the band life didn't agree with him. Too many commitments to other people perhaps. And then forged out on a solo career by himself under the name of Father John Misty. And this is his last one, Chloe and the Next 20th Century. Really great. Here's God's Favorite Customer. This is live at Third Man Records. It's actually pretty good. This is Pure Comedy, epic record. The title track is incredible. It's one of my favorite Father John Misty tracks. If you want to hear something from him, look up Pure Comedy. I Love You, Honey Bear. Really cool record. And maybe my favorite Father John Misty record is this one called Fear Factor. You could take a long time looking at this artwork. This is really, really great. Really good. So 5 solo artists. That's all I'm going to say about that. Join in on this. It's kind of cool to see the solo artists, but I'll see you in the next video.
5 solo artists, right? I don't need you. I'm going solo.
Yeah.
All right, Colton. So anyway,
Colton's
that's
the
going to do
cat.
it for this entry. Well, it's not an entry. It's just a thread response to the King of Threads.
King of Threads.
All hail the King of Threads, Chris Prophy, Musically Obsessed. So anyway, I'll leave a link in the description to Chris's initial launch for the thread. You can go over there and check it out, subscribe to his channel, leave him a nice comment.
You can do that, yeah.
Do whatever you're going to do on a Monday. And I'll just see you in the next video.
It's actually Wednesday now.